Harry's wife, the Crown goes legal. I now turn to an article from the Boston Herald. No, not Boston in Lincolnshire, the original Boston, but Boston, Massachusetts, where we're all going to be able to say, "Get in the car," and The Departed. That's wonderful. You want a coffee? And the headline is, "Can the royal family sue Prince Harry and Harry's wife?" Ooh. Now, as always, I leave it for you to determine the veracity of the material, but the opening paragraph poses this. A question being asked with increasing frequency these days, especially after the revelations in Prince Harry's best-selling work, is whether the royal family can and should sue Harry and Harry's wife. Now, before we delve any further into that, let us just consider opening up consideration of the activity and sense of suing a narcissist. I invariably ensure that you understand that you can never, ever make a narcissist do what you want through persuasion, bullying, threat, coercion, inducement, because of the fact that your activity is seen through the narcissist lens of control, meaning that your persuasion, even if it might be deemed to be something that is advantageous by you to the narcissist, and other people would deem it advantageous, may not be viewed as such, because the very act of trying to tell the narcissist what they should do is viewed as a threat to control, notwithstanding your bona fides and notwithstanding the actual outcome, which is advantageous. This is where certain narcissists end up cutting off their noses to spite their faces, because the problem that they have is that their narcissism is focused upon the action of inducement or persuasion rather than the outcome. It's important to understand that where you want a narcissist to do something, you never rely upon the narcissist to get to that point. You rely on yourself. So often, I'm consulted by people who want to rely upon the narcissist being the one to end the relationship. Poppycock. You have to do it. There are others that want to rely upon the narcissist leaving the victim alone. Stuff and nonsense. You have to put in place a solid no-contact regime, and it's within your hands and your ability to do that. Similarly, you cannot expect the narcissist to act in your best interests. And even though you might persuade or threaten or bully or whatever it might be, that doesn't mean that you're going to get the outcome that you require. However, there is one area where there is an advantage in relation to asserting control in an effective way vis-à-vis the narcissist, and that is through using the law. In certain instances, the law will not provide you with a remedy, and therefore you need to move on. In other instances, there is a remedy: payment of money to you, return of property, appropriate spousal support or child maintenance, restraining the narcissist from behaving a particular way with sanction of imprisonment. There are a variety of legal causes that are available to you, and where the evidence supports, and often it does, and you can make out that evidence, then you should, subject to suitable legal advice and your financial power to do so, utilize the law to get to that point. In some instances, you might decide just to write the matter off and move on, invariably sensible. But in certain instances, you should utilize the teeth of the law, because that can be enforced against the narcissist and force the narcissist to do what you want. In some instances, it can lead to the imprisonment of the narcissist, which at least means they're taken out of your hair. In other instances, it means that money or goods are seized and somebody else returns them to you. In other instances, the narcissist complies because their concerns about the damage to the facade and an ongoing threat to control outweighs the threat to control posed by the judgment against them, and they end up complying with it. Of course, the narcissist is likely to wriggle and fight against it, but that's another matter. But where you have a clear cause of action and the evidence to support it, then you should utilize that and understand that is one of the few ways you can force the narcissist to do what you require. Here, consideration is being given as to whether the royal family should actually sue Harry and Harry's wife. Presumably, this would be mandated by King Charles, and of course would allow him to assert control over his errant son and his errant daughter-in-law. It would also, were he successful, enable him to bring about an outcome and force the narcissist that is Harry's wife to behave in a particular way. Of course, there'd be those that might criticise such an action, and that might damage his facade, but it depends what he wants to achieve. But let's dive in further to what the Boston Herald has to state in terms of this activity. It tells us, it is not a common occurrence for members of the British royal family to sue someone. However, they do have legal teams in place to protect their interests and reputation. And they have taken legal action in the past when they feel it is necessary. Some notable examples including Prince Charles suing a newspaper for publishing his private journals. It is not known that England's royal family has ever sued a member of their own royal family. While there have been conflicts and disputes within the royal family, it is not common for these to result in legal action. Strict privacy laws protect the royal family, so it is difficult to know for sure. Harry and Harry's wife themselves have initiated close to a dozen lawsuits over the past 3 years, assertion of control by Harry's wife. For ardent royal watchers, this is another point of separation between the former and current royal family members. Simply put, England's royal family tends not to sue. The reported position of the royal family is that they have no intention to sue Harry and Harry's wife for any of their public statements over the past few months or anything written in Harry's new book. The logic is that doing so would only bring more of the kind of attention the couple seem to want. But if the next thing that comes out of the former royals' California camp pushes the royal family and their lawyers over some kind of precipice of tolerance, how would they pursue a claim? Given that Harry and Harry's wife reside in California and really have no tangible ties at this point to the United Kingdom, if a lawsuit were to be initiated against them by members of the royal family, it would almost certainly need to be in a California court. This wouldn't be an impossible thing, but it presents a practical hurdle for the royal family. They would need to be represented by US counsel, as well as an intangible hurdle of not being able to play the game on their chosen home court. Part of the reason it's not common practice for the royal family to sue someone is that public monies fund the royals. Wasting public money on what could be seen by the public as frivolous lawsuits isn't optically great. As family law attorney Sandra Choi points out, this is a crisis management issue more than a legal one. Yes, from a legal perspective, the family could sue if there is anything in Harry's memoir or any statement he or Harry's wife publicly made that the royal family's legal counsel believes is defamatory. But the result would be a significant PR problem and probably not worth legal gain. A report last week indicated that King Charles and the Queen Consort Camilla were likely to file a defamation suit against Harry in their personal capacity rather than royal capacity. This makes no sense on several levels. Even if the King and Queen Consort felt that they had sufficient evidentiary support for a claim that Harry defamed them in his book, or that Harry and Harry's wife defamed them in published statements, enduring the discovery process would never make it worth filing the suit. In discovery, both parties would try to ascertain certain facts stemming from the lawsuit. Discovery can be a prolonged and often painful process where parties value discretion and secrecy. Finally, a key reason why it would be unlikely for the royal family to ever sue Harry and Harry's wife is that civil lawsuits are best used when a party has been monetarily damaged and seeks to be made whole by the court. There is no evidence that the royal family has suffered in any monetary way from anything Harry or Harry's wife has said or written. Even if there had been, highly debatable, any measurable reputational damage to the royal family, going to court won't make it better in any way. The best way for the royal family to air any grievance against Harry and Harry's wife is in a forum they have the ability to control and influence, which would be public opinion through the vehicle of media. As Harry himself has pointed out on several occasions, the royal family has a proven ability to exercise influence over the media. They have absolutely zero power to influence an American court. So, if simply taking the high road and staying silent is an option that grows tiring for the royal family, the last place they should take a fight is to a court of law. Erin Solomon is the chief legal analyst for Esquire Digital. The better approach, because there wouldn't really be anything that could be gained by taking legal action against them, tempting as it might be to bloody their noses, would be to maintain this stance of ignoring them, of taking the high road and letting them say what they want, and, as I've explained in my excellent video, give them enough rope. Give Harry's wife enough rope, and she'll hang herself ultimately. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.